watching, and pretty much what we discussed on Thursday happened on Friday. You can see we discussed the fact that we were really far from the 10-day moving average, and so we kind of expected, very possibly, a sideways day, and that's exactly what happened, and that allowed the 10-day moving average to catch up. Now, what are we expecting tomorrow on Monday? Well, there's a lot of possibilities, of course, and we ended at the previous high, so we could really go anywhere. This could act as resistance, support, but I'll tell you what I'm kind of thinking, and not financial advice, of course. Well, this kind of, our situation looks similar, not exactly, history rhymes, not repeats, to this situation. Here we moved down and we moved up quite fast, too fast from the 10-day moving average, and so we kind of stalled a little bit too short days. That's pretty close to what's happening, except we also kind of alternated with some down days here. But to be fair, even this doji started as much as it ended at the same level as the start. Well, the start was a huge move from the previous end. So, you know, it's not exactly the same situation. But what I do want to point out is if in pre-market we open up huge to the upside, I think we will expect a move down. We still might end above the previous end, but that's kind of my fear, is that it's just going to be too far from the 10-day moving average, and we're going to be too overbought. We're not overbought yet, but if that type of move happens, I think it's very possible to become overbought. So, like I said, if we move up high, I think we'll move down low. Purely from this situation, I think we're just looking at a sideways move, or maybe even slightly positive as the 10-day moving average picks up. We might even start the day down and end with a green day, but, you know, similar kind of territory, even if it's a little bit further up. I think we're just going to have to look at kind of this situation where it kind of bounces around. You have these dojis, but it's on a general upward trend, just, you know, not too far from the 10-day moving average, and I think that's kind of what we'll expect, just because we're way too far. We might have some up days, some down days, but in general it'll be a sideways day, or 2 days, you know, when you average everything out. In terms of the general long-term trend, I think if we are moving up, which it's totally possible, I don't see any reason why not, except for one which I will discuss. You know, I think the 403 level is very normal. We'll have some resistance here with this line as the triangle. It really the market had a lot of trouble breaking this line ever and maintaining it in any way, except for maybe once here, but didn't last at all. Yeah, so, you know, not a big deal in terms of where we're going. Totally possible 403, just we don't want to overshoot it or anything. Otherwise, I think the market will be resistive to that. And you can see we've been doing pretty well with this triangle and this general direction. Doesn't mean it can't shoot down and then shoot back up. I just think that at the moment we're on our way up. We just might have to trade sideways or even slightly down for a day or two, or slightly up. We just can't move, I think, too fast without there being some situation like this where it has to shoot back down. And I'm not ruling this out. I'm just saying that if it does start very high, I think that's the direction the market will go for the day. Not a big deal in the long run, right? We still moved generally up since then. So not the end of the world, even though you guys know I'm expecting a market crash eventually. But until then, you know, that's what until then, we're on our way up. Okay, now what is my biggest fear, I suppose? That is the 10-year. So let's zoom in on this a little bit. You can see that we had this big triangle, and we discussed that it was very possible that on Friday we would actually consolidate a little bit more into this triangle, and we wouldn't shoot out until Monday. And so we actually thought that the S&P 500 might actually have a positive day, just because we'd have an extra day before this 10-year yield shot up. This is the 10-year Treasury note, to be just specific. Well, we were wrong, I suppose. We were one day, a day off, but we were right about the general direction. And I didn't say it would for sure take until Monday. You know, it's very possible it happened on Friday, and it shot out, and pretty much exactly kind of what we expected happened. Now, what's happening in the market? Well, this is what bothers me a little bit. Let's take off some of these indicators. Well, we had this 10-year shoot up, which is why we shot down. But at the end of the day, you can actually see this ascending triangle, by the way. At the end of the day, we ended at a positive. And that's kind of surprising for the 10-year having shot. Every other time the 10-year shot, the market moved down considerably. And so I think that the market might be happening. Well, two things might be happening. One, the shorts might have taken off their positions on Friday, which happened the previous Friday as well. And so just to look at the previous Friday really quickly, by the way, so you can see, let's take off these. So you can see the previous Friday ended up on a nice positive. That's the 5th of March. The 8th of March moved up, and then it moved down lower than the 5th of March. And so that's what we could see is we could see this move up and then move end lower, maybe over here. That would be a pretty good sideways day personally. It kind of matches the pattern a little bit, but nothing ever exactly repeats itself. So I would be hard pressed for that one. But nevertheless, we still moved on a general upward trend, so nothing to be scared of too much from that perspective. So maybe Friday just ended up on the upside because the shorts took off their position, like over here. It'll shoot up on Monday, and the shorts will re-enter. I don't know exactly. What I am nervous about is we shot up and, the market didn't respond in a negative way. And I think that the market's going to be surprised. Why? Well, pretty simply, I think they're expecting another similar situation like this. It shot up and then it consolidated for a long time. And so people are expecting things to consolidate and then it'll shoot up and we won't move so fast. Maybe that's what happens. Or maybe it's similar to this triangle where it shot up, consolidated only for a day or two, and then shot up some more. And we might be lucky if we even get a day or two. Now, maybe this is a triangle, maybe not. I have no idea. Why do I think we might be lucky if we get a day or two? Well, first of all, you can see this triangle. Well, I'm not going to get too specific into this, but why do I think we might be lucky? Well, I think banks want as much interest yield on their 10-year note, right, when they're buying these 10-year notes as possible. And I don't think that they're satisfied yet. Even though I mentioned before, just because we have 3% inflation doesn't mean the 10-year note has to go to 3%. Why? Because it's not going to be 3% for the whole 10-year note. But banks might expect 3% for a few years, 2% for a considerable amount of time, because the Fed has always said that is their target. And so, the Fed has not said that they're going to buy 10-year notes and push this yield down necessarily. And so from my perspective, I don't know, maybe we're on our way to 2%, and maybe we're on our way to 2% pretty fast. Why wouldn't the banks shoot up there right away then? Well, they don't want the stock market to crash. They don't want everything to go haywire, right? Because they have a lot of money in the stock market too. So what are they going to do? They're going to go as slowly as they can, or as fast as they can. However, it's probably more appropriate to say they're going to move as fast as they can. And so if they moved up and the market was totally fine with it, right? It's still at pretty much all-time highs. Well, that gives the banks permission, I suppose, or the green light to say, almost like over here, maybe they gave some breathing room before they moved up even higher. And I think that'll really spook the market, because the market maybe is thinking, oh, it's not such a big deal. The market recovers every time that we've had these spikes. We consolidate. Well, this consolidation didn't take long, and maybe the banks are looking at this and saying on Monday, oh, we have permission to get a much better rate because we got to move, right? Because they're buying up a lot of notes, and there's a lot of possibility of inflation going on. Now, to be fair, we're still in an upward trend here, although we are kind of pushing the limits here a little bit. So maybe it does have to cool off for another day or maybe even longer. I have no idea. I'm just nervous based off of this situation that we might see another spike coming up. And I don't think that yields are quite done yet. And I think that the real problem is people will take their money out of the stock market and put it into bonds. Why? Because they're getting a for sure return on their money. And maybe it won't beat inflation, but at the very least, it has a chance of doing close to as good, whereas the stock market, it's at all-time highs. People might be nervous that it's overbought. People are nervous that it's getting, the yields are going up. So it's always hard to tell exactly what's going to happen with the market and what people will do, but that's what I'm really concerned about. So from a technical perspective, I'm expecting sideways trading, maybe even up, but very slow. From the 10-year perspective, I'm really nervous that from fundamentals, the banks are going to see this as permission to shoot up even further, really surprise people, and really give a huge market correction. That's what makes me a little bit nervous right now. And you can see in terms of the VIX, if we look at the 1 year, whoops, gotta zoom out and make this look a little bit better. We're pretty much at the lowest it's been for the past year, which, it stayed low before. It's not the end of the world. I'm just nervous that it might shoot up as well. It has room to move up. And this is obviously not low, but it is quite low for the past year, it's crazy to say. And if we look at Tesla, just a quick overview. So you can see we kind of saw these triangles forming. Well, maybe it's a bigger triangle. And so we could really move up, break out of this triangle in the up direction or the down direction. There's two channels we could move into. A lot of room to move on Tesla. And so the way I would play this market, not financial advice, is pretty simple. You buy an option out of the money up here, maybe. You buy an option out of the money over here on Tesla. And that way, when the market moves, it usually moves pretty fast out of a triangle. When the market moves, it might not move into the money on your option if you buy it out here, but it might be cheap enough if you buy it, the 30 days out, that when it moves, let's say you bought this one for 500 and this one for 500. So when it moves, this will become worth not just $1,000, it might become worth $2,000. And this one over here might become worth, only $100, or maybe even become worthless. Probably not that fast, but $100. So yeah, you'll lose money on this option, but you'll gain a lot more money on this option up here, if you get everything, I suppose, right. And so that's the risk with options. But I'm just saying that's an easy way to play the market, because once this moves up, it can move into this channel. It'll have a lot of room to move. Same thing. Once Tesla moves down, it'll have a lot of room to move in this channel. And so, that's kind of the way I look at this market. Yes, I do think things are going up. And so, yes, I have some options in the positive direction in Tesla, but I also, on Friday, bought some options in the negative direction in Tesla. Yeah, I might be wrong, and this might break on the upside. I'm totally okay with that. And maybe I won't make as much money, but this way, because I think there'll be a strong move in Tesla either direction, I will make some money no matter what, maybe not as much money. And so that's kind of what I would suggest for anyone who's in the options kind of direction, not necessarily Tesla, you don't have to do that, but that kind of looking for these kinds of patterns, these kind of triangles where the price moves and it's consolidating and one side is eventually going to win. Now, it's not a sure thing, but you can see all the other triangles and all the other things we've been watching if you've been listening to us, and you can see if we're going to be right about, maybe it's Monday, maybe it's Tuesday, maybe it's not right away, maybe it just, sometimes it breaks and then comes back to the apex before breaking again, sometimes it forms an even longer triangle, we'll have to see exactly what happens, but and so you can't necessarily be 100% right, but it's just something that helps you in the market, and so I think that's really important. So like I said, purely from the technicals in terms of the SPY, maybe we'll have a down day, maybe we'll have an up day, maybe we'll have a sideways day, but from the pure technicals, I think that it'll just generally be, around here. Maybe we'll end a little bit lower than we ended on Friday, or, if we do move up, just a general move up, I don't know if we're really going to shoot at this point. I don't know if we're going to shoot back up into this triangle, which would move us right to 403. Unless it happens pre-market like that other example, and then it'll just, shoot down. So I'm kind of expecting from the technicals a sideways day. I'm just nervous with stock market at all-time highs and the 10-year wanting to go up, that the market might be surprised that the 10-year will shoot up. The only thing is, if you look at the year long on the 10-year, we're pretty far from the 10-day moving average, so maybe we have to rest for a day or so before things shoot up. But I do think, we moved down pretty fast, we moved up pretty fast. I don't think it's necessarily the end of the move up, and I'm wondering if the market's thinking that it's the end or it's going to be really slow from here on in, and I'm nervous that it's not. I'm nervous that we might move up to 2 pretty fast. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, but just in the general sense of things, and that might spook the market. So thanks so much for listening. Good luck to everyone trading. Let me know what you think is happening. Like, comment, subscribe. Lets me know that people actually watch these and like these and value them. So thank you so much. And good luck on Monday.